last day here at Sepang on the outskirts of Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, and welcome along to the second race in the 2015 TCR International Series. Hello everyone, this is Mark James in the commentary box once again, and if you were with us yesterday you'll have seen some really close racing and a good showcase for the TCR International Series. And so for our second race, this is the man on pole position from Spain, Jordi Gené, the man who's done most, if not, well, probably 99% of the development work. Jordi Gené, having worked for SEAT Sport since about 12, 13 years now, and did most of the development work on the various flavours of SEAT Leon touring car. Right up to and including World Championship level, gave the SEAT Leon TDI its competitive debut, and has done most of the development work on the SEAT Leon Racer, which competes in the Leon Euro Cup, and it's that car on which the TCR SEAT Leon is based. TCR regulations, as I was explaining, all about cost reduction. Something like a quarter of the cost of the TC1 cars that complete at the sport's top level. 2-litre turbocharged, two-wheel drive cars, either petrol or a diesel engine. All the cars here in Malaysia have petrol engines. I'm particularly pleased to see this car on the grid. We came to Malaysia with 5 brands, only 3 contested race 1. We have 4 of the 5 contesting race 2, because that is the Opel Astra of the Campos racing team from Spain. Igor Shkuz, you see there the Ukrainian flag on the rear window, and both cars from Campos Racing having suffered from overheating issues during the weekend, and they've come up with an ingenious fix, to put it mildly. They discovered a fabrication shop, a radiator shop in Kuala Lumpur that supplied them with a radiator. And so as we look at the top 12 positions on the grid, Jordi Gené, I mentioned, on pole position, Ferenc Fixer alongside him, Pepe Oriola in 3rd, Sergei Avanasiev in 4th, and Gianni Morbidelli in 5th, in the first of the non-SEATs, Morbidelli in a West Coast Racing Honda. Let me just finish by telling you that the Opel Astra has a locally made radiator. It's an enormous thing which should cure their overheating issues, and it is so big it actually needed a handmade bracket, because the brackets on the car weren't quite meaty enough, so the team was saying they fashioned brackets from fire extinguisher brackets. So you've got to say, with that amount of ingenuity and the fact that they worked until 5 a.m. this morning, you've got to take your hat off to the guys from Campos Racing for just getting that car on the grid. Ferenc Fixer, that should have been, yes indeed it was, car 55, the Zengo Motorsport SEAT Leon. Ferenc Fixer having come up through the Zengo Motorsport junior program, their academy, and one of 3 18-year-olds with us this weekend. Unfortunately, one of those 18-year-olds, Jordi Oriola, who's in the second of the Campos Opel Astras, not taking part today because he actually cooked the engine in qualifying yesterday. The other car missing from the grid, who didn't make it through qualifying, the sole Ford Focus ST of the Pro Team operation from Italy, built by Onyx Motorsport in the UK. The Focus made it to Malaysia, made it out briefly into qualifying, but all sorts of little niggles, little gremlins that couldn't quite be sorted out. Overheating, like most other teams, but also gear selection problems. The team was saying that to keep in with the spirit of the TCR regulations, they'd sourced a paddle shift gearbox from America, actually from a company that works with disabled military veterans and adapts road cars for use by amputees, and they'd used that system to link up with a standard gearbox, and it's that actuator that wasn't working properly on the downshifts, and so hence we won't be seeing the Ford Focus here in race 2. But our cars are away on the green flag lap. Jordi Genet leads them away. The man who was on pole position for race 1, Kevin Gleeson from the USA, starts this race in 10th. What happens is the two-stage qualifying that we saw yesterday morning. All cars take part in the first 15 minutes. There's then a 5-minute break. The top 12 go forward to Q2, and that's a 10-minute blast. The top 10 form the grid for race 1. There is Kevin Gleeson, who started the race on pole. Wasn't able to convert that into a maiden race victory, and then it's the grid that's reversed for race 2, and that means there's Jordi Genet, 10th quickest in qualifying, and so he starts on pole position for race 2. Ferenc Fixer alongside him in the Seoul Zengo Motorsport car. Then you see Pepe Oriola, the white wing mirrors of the Craft Bamboo Lukoil car, just exiting your picture. Gianni Morbidelli then in the first of the West Coast Racing Honda Civics. Then it's René Munich in another of the Civics, Franz Engstler in the Audi TT Cup car, Stefano Comini, our race winner from yesterday, Andrea Bellicchi, Comini's teammate in the target competition team, and then it's Kevin Gleeson. One thing I should say while the cars are on their formation lap, comments made to us yesterday after the race. If you were with us, you'll have seen Comini beckoning our camera over and showing him the name Vanessa written on the inside of his car. We've had a fair few requests on Facebook and Twitter to say what on earth, who on earth was he referring to? I can reveal that Vanessa is the car. Stefano names his cars. It's a tradition, it's a superstition with him. His first was Helen, who was a good girl apparently. He won the Italian Clio Cup with her in 2011. He then went with Lucy and Tracy, who weren't such good girls, and so he's decided that names ending with Y aren't really for him, and so you've got to say that Vanessa began her campaign in the best possible way with a win for Stefano Comini yesterday. So that's the story behind Vanessa, for all those who asked. And I'm sure he'll be more than happy to show us Vanessa, her name and her performance as the season goes on. So we look down then as the cars come through the complex, just about to turn into turn 14, the penultimate of our 15 corners here at the Sepang International Circuit, 5.543 kilometers. And of the 17 cars that made the long journey to Malaysia, we have 15 out of the 17 on the grid and 4 out of the 5 brands. And in case you're wondering why I keep referring to brands and not manufacturers, this is based on the GT3 concept, where manufacturers produce cars for customer teams to run, and so that's why you've got the likes of Craft Bamboo Lukoil, Zengo Motorsport, Target Competition, West Coast, who run the Hondas, Campos, who run the Opels, and Pro Team, who run that Ford. Obviously hoping for better luck out next time in China in mid-April. And all sorts of rumors about other brands looking to come in, already impressed by what's on offer. And it's not just the TCR International Series, it's something like 16 now national and regional series. And so in theory a team can run the same car, the same drivers, the same operation in national, regional and global series. The heat haze shimmers as we look down that long start-finish straight, 830 meters. The drag up to the right-hander at turn 1. Turns 1 and 2 are complex, a right-hander followed by a left-hander, and it gives us one of our best overtaking spots here at Sepang, because if you mess up your braking point for turn 1, as we saw on lap 1 yesterday, all sorts of things can happen. Charlie Whiting waiting for the green flag to be waved. 4 lights on, 5 lights on. The lights go off and we're away. Jordi Genet leads the cars away from the start line. Ferenc Fixer makes a good start. Further back we see one of the Audis moving. Both Audis having moved up now. Let's see what happens at turn 1. We had all sorts of problems here yesterday with contact and spinning and running wide. A lot more sedate as they go around turn 1. This time no contact, no running wide, but it's Jordi Genet who leads Ferenc Fixer. A little bit of nudging. Stefano Camini just taking to the curb with the two Engstler Motorsport Audi TTs alongside him. Franz Engstler yesterday didn't even make it this far. Steering failure, steering breakage, sidelining him at turn 1 at race 1. Some bumping and banging going on, and it's one of the Lukoil cars involved with one of the other target competition cars and one of the Audis. It's car 77, Sergei Afanasiev, that was caught up in that, but at least he's still going. The target car that we see off there. Potentially Stefano Camini, although we'll check that. That's Frank Yu that was quite frustrated, I think, by his touring car debut yesterday. Well known as a GT driver, competes in the GT Asia Championship and knows this track here at Sepang very well. Ferenc Fixer moves out on a move on Jordi Genet, but Genet, the wise head, keeps the line. Pepe Oriola in third place. Genet's teammate Fixer looks again. Fixer quickest in second free practice on Friday, but sidelined somewhat after the session by a really bad bout of dehydration, and admitted it was his relative inexperience with conditions like this. Track temperature something like 57 degrees, must be something like 15 degrees higher in the cars, as Ferenc Fixer puts the pressure on Jordi Genet as they head down the long back straight towards turn 15, which gets us back onto the start-finish straight alongside this central back-to-back grandstand. Jordi Genet moves across to block Fixer, and it's this left-hander. Slight side from Genet. Fixer will be tucking up alongside Genet. Pepe Oriola close enough also to have a possible say on things. In fact, looking back at the two target competition cars, we can see the blue Seats there. It looks as though it was Michel Nukia who was involved in that tussle earlier on. Confirmation then of positions at the end of lap 1. Jordi Genet leads from Ferenc Fixer, from Pepe Oriola. Gianni Morbidelli in fourth in the Honda. René Munich, his teammate, just behind him, ahead of the first of the Audis with Franz Engstler. Okay, let's take another look at the start then from above. And it's right at the bottom of your picture, the Opel, not surprisingly, slowest away. They've had very little track time, and look at that! Dragging up the long start-finish straight, and now it's up from 6th, through the gears to 6th, back down to 1st. And Fixer there, taking a look. Now, this is turn 4. This is the right-hander. This is where the contact happened. And yes, it is Michel Nukia. You see the orangey-red door mirrors on the car making contact. And Nukia has stopped out on track. So one of the 3 target competition cars, there's Nukia coming towards us, making contact with, I think it was first of all Lorenzo Veglia, and then Sergei Afanasiev. And that's the reason for his retirement. Broken front left suspension. Nukia then frustrated at a pretty disappointing weekend here in Sepang. Nukia, we were hoping for great things after his performances in the past, particularly up at World Championship level. But Nukia ending his weekend with a DNF. Yes, it was Veglia who made contact in that little tussle. Lorenzo Veglia in the Liquimoli Seat. Liquimoli Team Engstler running 2 Audis and that Seat here in Sepang. The 2 target remaining cars of Camini and Beliki taking a look there at each other. As Gianni Morbidelli moves out, all sorts of lines being employed as the cars come up the start-finish straight at the start of lap 3. Fixer takes a look up at the inside, but no, that was never going to happen. Turns 1 and 2 then. And positions haven't changed at the top of the leaderboard. It's still Genet from Fixer, from Oriola, from Morbidelli and René Munich. Then it's the 2 target competition cars, Camini and Beliki. Then it's Franz Engstler. Then it's Kevin Gleeson, who's improved a place from 10th to 9th. and then it's Mikhail Grachev. So the two target cars swapping positions. It's Comini now, having been passed by Beliki. Not sure what Vanessa has to say about that. Pepe Oriola taking a look at Ferenc Fixer. What do we have here? It's Frank Yu who's locked up and allows a little tap, I think, possibly, which would have been from Mikhail Grachev, and Frank Yu drops a place. Morbidelli staying with the three Seat group. We're not seeing the distances stretch out like we did at race 1 yesterday. Genet, Fixer, Oriola, Morbidelli are top 4. Further down the order board, Avanasiev, Jordi Genet's teammate, Sergei Avanasiev, who finished on the podium yesterday for the Kraft Bamboo Lukoil team, will play no further part in Procedures. Lorenzo Valia still in the pits, I believe. Michel Nucchio we saw stopped out on track. Jordi Oriola was a non-starter in the second of the Opals. Oriola weaving and jinking around, but he's on the wrong line. So that will be Sergei Avanasiev then. Still smiling, but a third place in race 1, followed by a DNF in race 2. Still the same 4 then. Now further back, I think you saw one of the target cars, which I guess would be Beliki, taking a look at René Munich, just at the top of your shot. We'll see the leaders through, and then if you take a look back, it's the target car still looking, and Pepe Oriola squeezes through, and has he also... contact again, Oriola squeezing out Ferenc Fixer, and could this be to Gianni Morbidelli's advantage? He's on the outside line, but not giving up because of that, and a gentle, not so gentle nudge from Ferenc Fixer just reminds Gianni that he's there, but I think Gianni's made that stick. Indeed he has. So Pepe Oriola and Gianni Morbidelli both passing Ferenc Fixer. And I think the reputation of touring cars as a bit more of a full contact sport has been justified, certainly in the first 3.5 laps or so of this 10-lap race here at Sepang. And this is Munich running slow? Yes, both the target cars passed René Munich. Car 33 is Andrea Beliki, car 25 Stefano Comini. And Munich still sticking with them, so I'm not sure what the problem was there, whether he just ran wide. But Morbidelli now starting to pull away slightly from Ferenc Fixer, but that little tussle has meant that Pepe Oriola can think about possibly have it going after Jordi Genet. And that's our leading group currently. One of the West Coast Hondas in the podium positions. Gianni Morbidelli in 3rd place, as I think again Fixer's possibly made that stick. He's on the inside line going around turn 15 and onto the start-finish straight, and edges out the target car. I think, Comini certainly is prepared to let Beliki have things his own way. So we'll see the lines. Again, it's Fixer on the line for the right-hander at turn 1. And then it's the left-hander at 2. And yes, nicely done. Andrea Beliki and possibly Stefano Comini just sneaking. Yes, they have passed Ferenc Fixer. Possibly the red mist getting in the way a little bit of the young Hungarian driver. But you've still got to say that it's an impressive performance by one of so tandem. René Munich now having a look in the Honda. And behind Munich, it's the oldest driver on the track this afternoon. It's Franz Engstler in the Audi TT. And it may look like an Audi, but it's actually prepared at Seat Sport in Barcelona, and underneath the TT body shell, it is in fact a Seat Leon. Through the double right-handers then at turns 7 and 8 and into the second half of the lap here at Sepang. 4 laps gone, 4.5 laps gone. Jordi Genet still leads by under a second from Pepe Oriola. Gianni Morbidelli a further second or so back, 0.9 of a second. Then it's Ferenc Fixer, now in 4th place. Or rather started the lap in 4th place. He's now dropped behind both Andrea Bellicchi and Stefano Camini, who benefited the most from that little tussle. And Pepe Oriola not making life easy for his fellow Spaniard. We started the weekend with 3 Spanish drivers. We're now down to 2, thanks to the fact that Jordi Oriola didn't make the start, but his older brother, Pepe, already having a look at Jordi Genet. Not close enough to make this stick. Genet will take the left-hander at turn 15. Oriola closes right up, though. I think this is a scrap that'll go all the way. And Morbidelli just a little bit too far behind to make any impression. You see behind there the green sunstrip at the Honda on the right is René Munich. Pepe Oriola dives up the inside, but Jordi, wise old bird that he is, makes that stick. Bellicchi, Camini, Kevin Gleeson has a look, but we'll have to settle for another lap in 9th place behind Franz Engstler. The 2 Kraft Bamboo Lukoil cars then running together. Spanish drivers, British-based team, Russian sponsor, Spanish car. And it's no surprise that the Seat should be doing so well this weekend, because they've had the most time really to prepare for the TCR International Series. The car, as I mentioned, is based on the Leon Euro Cup car. But what is a surprise, an extremely pleasant one, is to see Gianni Morbidelli right up there with them. The cars, the Hondas, built by Yas Sport in Italy, run by West Coast Racing from Sweden, and were slightly concerned with the way things were going with the balance of performance. That's the way that which the technical performance of the cars is evened out. Lots of tweaking and tinkering going on yesterday with weights. West Coast saying last night that they weren't overjoyed with the way that they'd had weight put back on between qualifying and the race, and so they thought that had penalised Kevin Gleeson. But Gianni Morbidelli seems to be saying, wait, what weight? So those 3 then running together. A slight gap then to Andrea Bellicchi in 4th place. Stefano Camini, you see there behind his teammate, in 5th. René Munich in 6th. And something like 5.5 seconds, 5.6 seconds separating 1st to 7th, with Ferenc Fixer currently in that 7th position. And again, Oriola takes a look up the inside for this left-hander. No, once again, Jordi holds the line. So, Seat, Honda, Seat, Honda, Seat, Audi, Honda, Audi. That's our top 10 at the moment. And talking to Gianni Morbidelli yesterday, he was telling me about the potential breaking points and the problem areas on the track. He's saying up to 6th gear, going up the start-finish, straight down to 1st for that turn 1, and very easy. Just to miss your concentration, particularly when you've got someone like Pepe Oriola and Gianni Morbidelli over your shoulder. But Jordi Genet holds his nerve. A lot of the corners taken as a complex, and Morbidelli saying the back of the car slightly loose, and that's where concentration can slightly go. You run slightly wide, you get your braking slightly wrong, and the guy behind you is up and past. Andrea Bellicchi there, you saw him 4th in the target competition, Leon. Also closing up now. Craft Bamboo, experienced as they are, were saying that they didn't actually get the cars until they were here in Malaysia. They'd had cars to work on to look at performance and test and so forth, but target competition, who've run the cars effectively in the Leon Euro Cup, far more experienced, and they were extremely pleased with their win yesterday, and Craft Bamboo more than happy to get 2 cars on the podium. 0.3 of a second then, Jordi Janay leads from Pepe Oriola. Gianni Morbidelli now getting under pressure from Andrea Bellicchi. Then it's Stefano Comini and Igor Skuz. That was me at the beginning of the race saying, oh, what a good job the Campos Racing guys had done to get Igor Skuz out onto the track. Skuz now in the pits. All that work sourcing and then fitting the larger radiator to try and sort out their cooling problems would appear to have been in vain. Skuz in the pits. And this is the battle for 6th, 7th. There is Igor Skuz. The Campos Racing guys from Spain must be bitterly disappointed after working all night on Friday into Saturday and then a 5 a.m. finish Saturday into Sunday to see their race finish like this. So 2 battles emerging then. 1st and 2nd, Janay versus Oriola. 3rd and 4th, Morbidelli versus Bellicchi. And again, it's all down to racecraft, positioning the car, just putting that little bit of pressure on the guy ahead. So he sees you in his rearview mirrors and positions the car accordingly. But you've got to say, after 7 laps, top 7 covered by just over 10 seconds. I think a great advert, to be honest, for the TCR International Series. That's Skuz out of the car. That would suggest that the problem is not cooling related. Igor, his English is not fantastic. We did an interview with him in Ukrainian last night, and a frustrating start to his TCR International Series campaign. That's Gianni Morbidelli then. Dropped back a little bit from the 2 Seats, but he's also got a little bit of breathing space now between himself and the 2 target competition cars behind him. So the gap, not considerably wider. It was 0.3, a second or so, a lap or so ago, and the gap from Oriola to Morbidelli, 0.8 of a second now. Now this is another of our potential overtaking spots, but again, the gap not quite small enough for Oriola to do anything. And the gaps then after these top 4 cars opening out ever so slightly. 3.7 seconds between Comini and Munich, 4.5 back to Gleason, and then it's Grachev and Fixer breathing down each other's necks. You can also see the elevation changes at this Sepang circuit. Downhill turns 1 and 2. Really tricky camber changes. Morbidelli telling me that there's one corner at the second half of the track where you really feel as though the track is running away from you. Was that one of the target cars having a go? Was that Comini having a go at Bellicchi? I think we'll need to see that again, but I think Bellicchi's made it stick on Comini. Yes, he has. 33 on Comini, 33 Bellicchi, 25 Comini. No, I'm being told they had a look at each other, but positions didn't change. Bellicchi still ahead of Comini. Of course, it's not that long a gap until rounds 3 and 4 in Shanghai in China, which again are support races to Formula One. So nobody wants to do anything too drastic in this race, that they're then going to have to fly out parts or body panels from Europe to Shanghai to get the cars ready for the next pair of races. Do you know, that's the first time I've seen Genet make any kind of mistake. A little lock up there, which allows Pepe Oriola just to close the gap on him. And that gap now a lot less than 0.3 of a second. So coming down towards this turn 15, Jordi Genet will have to hold his nerve. But you have to say he's driven beautifully since starting from pole. Pepe Oriola takes a look up the inside. Morbidelli content to play the waiting game for now to see what happens with these two Seats ahead. So we enter the final lap. Morbidelli has a look up the outside, but of course it's a right-hander coming up. And so unless he can do anything drastic from there, he takes a look, but even though he's breathing down Pepe Oriola's neck, and I think that pressure between Gianni Morbidelli and Pepe Oriola allowing Jordi Genet just to pull away that little bit. Target cars taking a look at each other as well. It's worth staying with this battle, I think, for the potential position changes on this this final lap. Looking down the order, Ferenc Fixer is in the pits, which will be a disappointment for him after running so promisingly and being right up there in the mix. Frank Yu now up to 9th. So all these dramas at the lower end of the field mean that Grachev now up to 8th, Gleeson up to 7th, and then it's the battle we saw between Munich, Comini, Bellicchi. Munich, 6.4 seconds down, so it's Munich battling with Gleeson, but these guys now really in two scraps. One of the target cars, it is Bellicchi who's dived up the inside of Gianni Morbidelli on this final lap. So can Comini, and Gianni's going back at him. No, can't make it stick. Bellicchi having, it looks like, taken the third and final podium place on the final lap. Comini takes a look. Out of turn 14, just one more corner remains. But you have to say, the man who's commanded this race, Jordi Genet, heads down to the final corner to take, hope I don't jinx it, the checkered flag. Pepe Oriola in second. It'll be another all-Seat top three with Andrea Bellicchi. From Italy, Gianni Morbidelli comes back at him. Italian versus Italian. Contact between the pair. And pushes him onto the grass. That, I suspect, will be looked at. But the checkered flag goes. Jordi Genet takes the win ahead of Pepe Oriola. Gianni Morbidelli finishes third after that, I suspect, controversial final lap incident, final corner incident. Stefano Comini also overtook his teammate Andrea Bellicchi 5th. René Munich across the line in 6th. Kevin Gleeson in 7th. Mikhail Grachev 8th. And it looks as though our only other finishers, Frank Yu will be 9th, and a long way down, a lap down, Lorenzo Veglia will pick up a single point for finishing in 10th place. But justifiable congratulations for Jordi Genet, qualified in 10th place, which put him on pole position for race 2, and a lights to flag victory for Jordi Genet. All right, let's take a look at this last lap incident again. So Morbidelli goes up the inside, nudge 1, then nudge 2. Bellicchi has no option but to take to the grass. Comini will also squeeze past him. Let's take a look from the other angle. Bellicchi hanging on, but that little cross-country action has dropped him 2 places. He will not be at all happy about that. I need to brush up on my Italian for when I get back to the paddock. But Beliki to the grass. So Morbidelli finishes third and takes the final podium place. Stefano Comini, our winner of race 1, takes fourth. Andrea Beliki takes fifth. So Seat, Honda is how it ended. Looking down the order boards, one of our Audis, Mikhail Grachev, finished. Sadly, our Opel didn't finish. Of our 2 Opels, one that started the race ended it in the pits, and we saw Igor Shkuz's body language suggesting that there's a handling issue with the car. But 5 brands made the long trip to Malaysia, and 4 of them have seen track action this weekend. As the cars head round back in towards the paddock, we'll remind ourselves, confirm the positions as they cross the line then. Jordi Genet taking the win by 0.7 of a second from Pepe Oriola, 1-2 for Team Craft Bamboo Lukoil. Gianni Morbidelli makes it the first podium for the Hondas from West Coast Racing from Sweden. Our congratulations to them. Then it's the target competition pair, Comini Beliki, René Munich, Kevin Gleeson in the Hondas, Mikhail Grachev in the Team Engstler Audi, Frank Yu in the Seat, and then Ferenc Fixer having come back out. 1 lap down, and Lorenzo Velia 1 lap down, the remainder not classified. And the cars head into the pit lane at the end of those 10 quite thrilling laps. I think there'll be words said between the 2 Italians, and I suspect congratulations for a good scrap between those 2 Spanish drivers. Jordi Genet will have been pushed all the way and will have known, with temperatures inside the car as high as they are. Look at that, really pleased. Jaime Puig there in the white shirt, congratulating Jordi. Marc Genet, of course, Jordi's brother, here for a slightly different reason, extremely quick to offer his congratulations. Brilliant. So the debrief has already started. In the background you see Pepe Oriola. And what we're not seeing is the exchange between the Italians, between Andrea Beliki and Gianni Morbidelli. There's Pepe Oriola. You have to say that was a good weekend's work for the Craft Bamboo Lukoil team. A strong collection of podium places. They will leave Sepang with a healthy hatful of points. First blood in the point situation went to Kevin Gleeson of the West Coast Racing Honda team after taking the maximum 5 points in qualifying, but unfortunately wasn't able to convert that pole position in race 1 into a victory. But Gleeson, having scored points in qualifying, points in both races. And that's Avanasiev congratulating his teammates. Big hug for Jordi. And then up to the podium, please, chaps. There are some bottles of champagne with your names on. There's Gianni Morbidelli with that cooling shirt, which he did use after all, which he has cold water pumped around that T-shirt. Wasn't sure if he was going to use it because the ice in the little bag that runs it all will melt after about 10 minutes, 15 minutes or so, he was saying, so wasn't actually quite sure whether it was an advantage. It really does come into its own when you have something like dry ice in the car, where the water can stay really cool. So let's have another look at this incident, which I suspect is what people will be talking about for a while to come. Jordi Genet flashing his lights as he crosses the line, but it's that little trio behind that 2 Italians and a Swiss driver. Gianni Morbidelli just nudging Andrea Beliki, and Stefano Comini also a beneficiary of that final corner incident. Well done, brother. And so to the podium ceremony. Our master of ceremonies here at Sepang, as everywhere else, will be Bob Constanduros. Richard Coleman, you saw in the back of shot there, congratulating his two drivers. Richard will take the prize for the best team. But Craft Bamboo from the UK, Richard will be very, very happy to leave Sepang with such a healthy haul of points. Over to you, Bob.
And here is the podium for the second TCR International Series, with in third place, Gianni Morbidelli from Italy. And in second place, as he was yesterday, from Spain, Pepe Oriola. Welcome to him, but the winner today, also from Spain, is Jordi Jané. And in his honor, we hear the Spanish national anthem. Well done to Jordi Jané. The trophies are presented by David Sonshire, the CEO of WSC Asia Limited, who presents the trophy to Jordi Jané for Team Craft Bamboo Muko, whose representative is also on the podium as the winning team. Congratulations to him. Team Craft Bamboo Muko providing the first two cars. Pepe Oriola in the second place, getting his trophy from David Sonshire. Well done to him, both of them driving Seats. And in third place, Gianni Morbidelli, driving a West Coast Racing Honda, gets his trophy from David Sonshire. Well done to all three on the podium in this first race weekend for the TCR International Series. If you'd like to get together for the photo.
Pepe Oriola with a pair of second places, and I'm sure that Gianni Morbidelli and the West Coast Racing team from Sweden will be more than happy with their third place and the podium finish in race 2. The TCR International Series resumes in China on the 11th and 12th of April, but from Sepang, from I think a very successful race weekend to debut the series. This is Mark James wishing you well, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.